Today for Full Album Friday, we're going back to 1977 to look at Pink Floyd's Animals. Now, if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or any social media, you're no doubt aware that for me, this is the greatest Pink Floyd album ever. And honestly, this one never gets its due because it's overwhelmed by the commercialism of Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, and Wish You Were Here. I actually don't mind that so much because it makes Animals a little bit of an insider secret, and those who know this album love this album. And as far as I'm concerned, musically, this is the best you're ever going to get in the world of Pink Floyd. This record actually came out between Wish You Were Here and The Wall, and for a lot of people, they see this as the beginning of the end of the classic Pink Floyd lineup. Regardless, like most of their other albums, Animals is a concept record, and it might be their most brutally scathing of society. This one does borrow a lot from George Orwell's Animal Farm, but instead of Stalinism, they're going after capitalism, and your high school English teacher will be glad that I remembered to tell you that. This album also takes some shots at the rising punk rock scene at the time and the overall nihilistic approach so much of society had. But let's put the undertones to the music aside, because for my money, David Gilmour has never sounded better than he does on this album. And his work on Dogs, it's just, the word explosive doesn't even cover his performance there. It's inspired to a level he never achieved elsewhere, and for a lot of people, they use this song as the argument for David Gilmour being one of the best guitarists ever. Richard Wright's keys all across this album are also essential. They are so moody, they're so fantastic, and they play the perfect contrast to Gilmour's guitar. They lock in sonically like nothing else you're going to experience. Really, Dogs is one of those songs that for me just makes the rest of the world fall away every time I listen to it. And along with that, it gets better every single time. I can't even count how many times I've played it, and I still love it. Now, there's also the vocals on this, as they're a little bit far back in the mix and they just sort of float there. It's like nothing else around. I can't really explain it. It's sort of magical how the vocals work on this album. And they really don't present this vocal approach before or after. You kind of have to experience it firsthand to understand the coolness here. I also like the fact that Animals never really gets bright in terms of mood. Never. It's sad, it's angry, it's mournful, it's just pissed off. You name it, it sits there and it stays there. The only glimmer of hope is just that, a slight glimmer, and it comes on the bookending song Pigs on the Wing. And the fact that the mood just gets deeper and darker every time allows it to have maximum impact. They don't put a ribbon or a bow on this. This is an ugly record in a good way. I mean, honestly, this record almost gets uncomfortable. It's so bleak and relentless at times. And it's a pretty stark contrast to the Pink Floyd albums that came before it, and to be honest, it makes The Wall look pretty tame and almost happy at points. So yeah, if you don't know Animals, you really don't know Pink Floyd. This is their most complete, balanced, and musically impressive album ever. No other album they did comes close. And if somehow Animals isn't in your regular rotation, you need to change that right now. Thank me later.